just a quick one there. But we've got Brandon. How's it going, man?
Very good, Mike. How are you?
Doing well.
Glad to hear that you're better. And that's a smoking deal you got there, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I left out. So the terms on the rest of it were, we got 25 years fixed at 6% on a big commercial asset like that, which is unbelievable.
Damn. I wish I was. I will get there. I wish I was able to just see a transaction like that at this point in time, but it just comes in time. But one day
they do come in time. Absolutely. I truly firmly believe that. And I worked that deal for about a year and a half, so it'll come.
I looked at a commercial deal last week, and the guy, it's downtown, and the guy was asking $75,000 for the land, and I just told the guy, I was like, man, honestly, I just don't even know if it's a good deal or not. I have no clue what I'm looking at. And I asked a couple of people, and they didn't even have a clue either. But that's not the conversation I'm bringing up today. But in time, I will figure out some of those things. But I did want to give a little bit of a celebration to our business right now. We're the busiest that I've ever been in. I've been in business about 10 years, and I've had, a good amount of transactions. I mean, in the last 10 years, I've only done around 200, transactions, wholesale deals, creative financing, just flips and all that. But these last couple of sets, I'm under contract pending contingent on the sell side, 4 houses, and we should be netting around $110,000 on those houses.
That is awesome.
So it's great. That's net on that side. Now that's pre-taxes, so we'll have to figure out all that a little bit later. I picked up 2 contracts today. One was from my Bandit Signs, and the other one, we've been working with a lot of wholesalers, and we're bringing them in on the flips if they're willing to take 15% of the net profit after the transaction's completed. And I've had some success with that. I've done a couple of them, less than a handful, but I've done a couple of them, and they've actually been really, really pleasant transactions. All they do is assign it to us, and we'll do an operating agreement at closing that they get 15% of net. And then we have a spreadsheet, and we add them to the spreadsheet, and we talk them through the transaction. And a lot of times the wholesalers have never done a flip before, and they're just excited to be a part of the transaction altogether. And we do everything else. So I got one of those today as well. Now,
that's a great deal if they can hold out. It's been hard for me to find people that don't need the money. They can hold out.
Well, a lot of times they're newer type guys that are just kind of a little bit hungry, and they haven't had a lot of success in the wholesaling game, but they'll come up. Like, as an example, one guy reaches out to me and he says, "Hey, Brandon, I think I've got a deal. Do you mind running the numbers with me?" And I said, "Okay."
Okay.
And he was asking, well, that's what he was saying to me. And then he was asking like $27,000, and he had the contract for 25. And then he said, "I've gotten so many phone calls on it that I think I have a deal on it." And I'm like, "Well, that's typically what you should have is, you should have multiple phone calls." And he was like, I want to do the flip myself, but I don't know anything about it. And then typically these guys are just newer. And I've had, again, less than a handful of transactions successfully like that, but it's been pretty good. I'm trying to do more. Now, I do have a challenge with one house on that the numbers are super tight. When I picked it up, it had condenser and furnace were 2017, and the water heater was 2020. And it was in moving condition. We just needed to paint it, clean it up, put a new roof on it. And I was looking at and it's a 1,000 square foot house, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, concrete slab, brick. I was looking at basically less than about $15,000 in repairs. So I kind of paid a little high on it. It's worth about $70,000, and I ended up getting it under contract for $35,000. So my numbers were real tight, but it was just such an easy deal. I decided to grab it. Right when I purchased it, I put a cage on it, and as soon as I put the cage on the condenser and I closed on it, someone came and stole the condenser. So there goes basically another $1,500, $1,600, $1,800 there. Okay?
Right.
So I was pissed about that, and the numbers were already tight. Then what ends up happening, we were doing the rehab. One day from the next, we come and stole the water heater. And they literally just dumped the water right on the concrete floors. Luckily, I have waterproof LVP and tile, and it's a concrete slab. But they stole my water heater. This is like a week after they had already stole my condenser. And I'm like, so there goes $800.
The same dude hitting you.
Yeah. And I'm like, there goes another $850 there. And it was a 2020 water heater, 2017 condenser. So right now, I told my partners, I was like, man, we can't. The only thing that haven't hit us is the furnace, and we just put another water heater in it. So I'm an infantry guy in the Marine Corps. I did 2 tours to Iraq, and I'm like, guys, I'm just gonna have to post security in the house. So I've been sleeping in this house with no condenser in it, just literally a sleeping bag and a fan, trying to protect like the little like $7,000 net profit that we've got on this house. Because that's the only thing I know what to do right now. And I talked to everybody, and I'm like, what is the solution? How do we solve it where we don't keep getting hit up? And how do I stay away from sleeping in a crusty old house like this? Like I'm trying to I don't know what else to do.
Man. So you're not gonna like my solution, but
yeah,
I pay people to stay at places. I pay people to stay at places because I'm just not going to do it anymore, or buy insurance, but the insurance is usually crappy. It's the only problem.
I got insurance, but it's a high deductible.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Usually they hit you, and it's like right at the deductible. It's not even worth messing with a claim to make $300, get $300 back.
Correct. Yeah.
So, man, I pay workers to stay in them a lot. I'll pay them like $50 a night or something, or whatever have a like right now I got they're bringing me that deal I was just talking about, that commercial deal. They're bringing me in asphalt millings to dump on that 12 acres, and I pay a guy $100 a night to stay there because I stayed there one night and showed him where I wanted it dumped and all that, but I don't trust the truckers going in and out, so I just pay a guy $100 a night to stay there because I can't. I'm too busy doing stuff that is much more productive than sitting in old houses. So you might want to try seeing if you can pay a worker to stay there. Okay,
I mean, I thought about that, but I don't know what to pay. And most of my guys, they got families and everything else. And I just told everybody, I'm like, I'm going to protect the couple $1,000 we got. I mean, it's worth me sleeping in it right now, but we've got to find a solution for this. And I just don't know what else to do.
And it's not the AC condenser outside. There's nothing you can do to protect that one. The water heater, I would assume, is inside, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's inside, yeah. And then my furnace. I mean, I'm really trying to protect my furnace, too.
The other thing I've done, so it looks like, so we use Simply Safe. If we got a real issue house, we'll put Simply Safe in. But it's kind of a pain in the butt. You got to buy the Simply Safe, put it in, get internet hooked up and all that, So it's kind of a pain to do that on a house you're probably going to sell in, 2 weeks?
I've already actually got a buyer on it at $72,000. I'm closing at the end of the month on this house.
Yeah, so it's a pain to get that Simply Safe, but think about that for some of yours. I've used Simply Safe before. I've been super happy with them because it's really portable. It takes 5 minutes to set it up. The other thing I've done in the past is we had an old junky car, and we would go park that junky car in the driveway, and then have lights turn off and on inside, with the switch, or the timer.
Yeah. And then keep a radio in there and just lightly keep the radio on inside of it.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody breaks in, they're terrified somebody's there. But the big one is this cheap car that you can, or an extra car that you can park out there so it looks like somebody's there. The only thing is, it's usually somebody watching the house, they're in the neighborhood or something. So if you don't move that car every day, they figure it out real quick. So you got to move the car.
Okay, I have thought about that, and that's probably what I'm going to do tomorrow going on. But yeah, I just didn't know if there was another solution, but that's what we were going to do. We've already got blinds in it, and our electricity is on, and just turning on like the hallway light and just turning a radio on just really slightly, and then leaving. I've got a few vehicles. I could put a vehicle in there and then just move it every once in a while, make it look like we're actually in there. Because right now I am definitely inside, and I'm waiting for somebody to break in it again. Just waiting.
Yeah, and like, make sure you don't leave the same light on every night. You know, you don't leave the hallway light on every single night, because then somebody's like, okay, they're just leaving a light on. You know what I mean? Like, leave the bedroom light on, the kitchen light was on this night. You know what I mean? Like, change it up a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's smart.
And then, like you said, the radio going on inside makes a big difference too, because people are like, is somebody in there or not? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to try it, especially in like states like Texas and Tennessee. You don't want to do it where you don't want to do it.
The other thing I've bought in the past at work is for like $10. There's a contact alarm, and you just put it on the front and the back door. And what it does is as soon as the door separates, it starts beeping like an alarm's going off. And I've had it happen where they've crawled in through the window, they go to open the door to let the other guy in, and that alarm goes off, and they bolt because they never touched anything in there. That alarm goes off, and they freak out.
What is that called? Now, that was one thing I was looking for. Do you know what that's called?
Yeah, they're super cheap and easy, like unbelievably cheap and easy. Hold on one second, let me look it up. They're like $10 at Home Depot.
That's like perfect.
Hold on one second, I'm on my computer here.
To add to it, I looked up used appliances and just to see, because usually I have been in some of these places where I found out that they're going to these used appliance places and they're like, crackheads selling the water heaters for like $20, $30, and then the used appliance store just sells them, straight out of their store. So I Googled it real quickly to see how close a used appliance store was, and like 5 houses away, there's a scrapper that I found, and they were advertising on Google that they were selling used appliances. And I drove over there. I didn't see any of my equipment, but I saw a bunch of stuff in their yard. And I just went ahead and called the city.
One time, Mitch and I were doing a house on the east side, and it was something very similar. I just happened to stop at the house, see how it was going. It was kind of a big rehab, and they had a generator running because we didn't have electricity at the house. And we're inside looking at something, and the generator on the porch stopped running. And I looked at the contractor and said, "Oh man, it's out of gas. It was getting real low on gas." And so we went about and did our thing inside. We walked out, and the generator was gone. So the dude had turned it off to steal it. So I drove down and went to the first pawn shop I saw, which were real close, and sure enough, he came walking in with that generator.
Oh, see? Yeah.
And I still never got it back though. We called the police, and if you don't have the serial number and a receipt and all this stuff, it doesn't matter. You're not getting it back. They'll take it all as police evidence, and it'll go up for auction someday because you can't get it back.
Now when we do our before pictures, we are taking pictures of our serial numbers of our appliances. The only thing I knew, I don't have evidence that he took my condenser, but I did call the code enforcer and act like a worried neighbor that there's too much junk in the yard, and I did see that they came and they're fining him for all the like scrap metal and all that in the yard. So that's the only thing I can do at this point.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's called, if you just go on to, and there's like tons of different brands and all that, but like the Ring one is alarm door window contact sensor. But the ones we use are Defiant Wireless Home Security Door Window Alarm. It's a 2-pack for $15. And all it is there's magnets in there, and as soon as those magnets go more than an inch apart, like they've opened a window or something, it just starts chirping like an alarm, and it's super loud. And we've come up to houses and the doors are open and nothing's missing, so it says somebody walked in there and then freaked out and left.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Anything?
Yeah, the Defiant Wireless.
Anything to put on the condenser to track it if somebody were to take the condenser and, like, let's say they stole it.
We
and
had
they took
some
it to
trailers. we had a lot of trailers stolen from us, and we bought these, and these aren't too expensive, but we bought these, what should we call it, GPS tracking devices.
Yeah.
The only problem is you have to have like a little battery pack to run them, so it's hard to hide them. It's easy to hide them on the dump trailers because we have a battery on the trailer, and that runs the GPS, you know. But you can buy GPS things where you can activate it and go find it.
Okay. All right, I'll look into that. All right. Well, that's it, man.
Theft is one of those things you just got to build in there. You know, it's happened to us. Mitch and I have had, you know, $10,000 worth of wiring stolen on a house before. It's something you got to work in there. It sucks, but you got to work it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to figure that out. That's my new learning curve there. So. All right, Mike. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. No problem.